I had mentioned in one of my latest videos that I would put together a little how I make it video, not necessarily a how-to video, but just how I put potting soil together. And so I'll show you some of the key ingredients for what I do. So there's peat moss there. I get those, I don't know how many yards, it says on the bottom, 3 cubic feet. And then I usually go for some kind of composted material. This one's like claiming to be manure and compost. And then of course perlite. And I used to get these from, or I do get these from Amazon. I try not to buy too much from Amazon anymore, but this is a good place to get perlite if you don't have any. I don't buy the little tiny bags that they have at the box stores. I like to get these bigger bags. And funny enough, there's a perlite manufacturer here in my town, but you have to buy 10 bags that are a little bit bigger than this bag. But I also know there's a local nursery that uses that product, and you can just buy one at a time. But I did buy 10 bags once, and I split the order with some friends of mine, and it took me a year and a half to get rid of all that perlite. Here's the other final ingredient that I put in my my custom stuff, and I got this from a local soil and mulch company about maybe a month and a half ago, and it was a really disappointing purchase experience because, and I heard the person say when they called out the yard guy to get the tractor to put the soil in my truck that it was a newer batch, and that should have set off a warning for me. But this is essentially just a fine ground mulch, so it's not a big problem because what I'm going to do is just let this sit and cook for a couple months, and it'll turn into soil. I water it down. I mean, when I get soil, I get a lot of soil. That's a cubic yard, and yeah, I got my hurricane shutters up early this year, but anyway, it's a cubic yard, and so it's really just going to have to sit. And normally when I would buy soil from those guys, it's ready to go. It's still very woody. It's like sand and wood mixed together, but it's broken down more. So this is like a super fine, like beyond playground mulch consistency. But you can tell that in a little while it'll turn into soil. And I throw earthworms in when I can find them over in my compost heap that I have. And speaking of that, I'll take you over to the compost heap and where I make my soil, and then I'll show you kind of the ratios I use, and that'll be part 2 that will wrap things up. So I'm over here at the compost heap now, and my trough o soil where I do my stirring and mixing, and I split the compost thing in half, and so this is the active side where I'm throwing things now, and then that's where I've been harvesting compost over there. That's my poor sieve. And so over here in the soil mixing station, I have some of the mulch that was passing for soil according to the soil company and mulch company that I bought it from. That's had some water on it for a while now, so it looks better, but it's still just mulch. And that's what I was running my hand through earlier. That bucket right there is this, more of the mulch that's supposed to be soil. Sphagnum, perlite, and this is the compost. So I'll make a sandwich here. I've got a layer of the mulch slash ledge soil. I'll put the compost in, then I'll put some sphagnum in and perlite, and then repeat with that, and then keep sandwiching up and get all that mixed up. I'll show you that. And one last note is normally I would get bags of pine bark mulch, pine fines, really, really small pine bark, to use as an amendment to sort of act as the perlite does, and do some aeration and keep the soil from turning into muck, because the worms, when they do their job too well, it just turns into a clump of muck, and so that helps to keep it aerated. So let me mix this all up and we'll finish this up. Here's the final product, sort of half decently mixed up here, and try to get a combination of everything mixed in there as best as possible. I don't know why I say combination, but just get everything mixed in there. Sometimes this sphagnum is going to be a little clumpy, and you can just go through when you're doing your potting work and you get that out. So there's that. If I were doing a batch of soil for some long-term, like house plants or something that's going to sit on my porch for a while or whatever, I would probably add more sand and vermiculite to the mix so that there's more of an inert presence of inert products in there. Let me show you one other thing real quick to wrap this up. I have a small batch of Cocothrinax inaguensis, and oops, that's not the inaguensis. I think those are littoralis or something. But anyway, these are the inaguensis. And this is mostly perlite and sand with a little bit of potting mix in there. And you can see, I don't know if you can, but it's probably like 80% sand and perlite with a little bit of soil. So I do make adjustments as needed for whatever the situation is. So anyway, that's my how I make soil video. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks as always for your viewership and support. Appreciate it.